I'm Richard. Richard. Ah, okay. So, those who brought my Bible at the same time,
Cape Coast Castle.
So what do you think about the two different, the Bible and the?
He asked me a question and I answered. For my opinion.
And I asked you a follow-up question. So if you cannot answer, no problem.
Because the change will be a nine.
Hey, take woman I.
I'm on the 12th.
Yeah. There is God. Pachomunko anymore. Pachomunko anymore. Pachomunko anymore. Pachomoma yokona nkai funu na nti wa. Pachoma yokona
Yeah, the more peace to say the air
we are here to show respect to our ancestors.
Okay.
Right? So let's do that. Let's show them maximum respect. Okay. This is a place of sorrow. This room was originally a storeroom. So I'm turning off the lights so we can see how dark.
Okay. Kanana mi yomsenia ahasun. Sitie. Na aha. Sema ndo ndo mkanana. Nemu kumo.
So, as I said, this room was a storeroom. So you can see there was a door there. Yes.
Oh, munyabutreo. Okasa, munyabutreo okasa yiti.
When it was a storeroom, the door was there. When they wanted to use the room as a cell, they closed the door. And those captives wanted to fight for their freedom, the freedom fighters. But they were seen by the British as stubborn or rebellious ones.
Yeah.
But one thing we shouldn't forget is that they suffered for too long. And when man is suppressed, oppressed, depressed, or repressed for a long time, one day he will fight back, explode.
Yeah.
Those who tried to escape and were caught, unfortunately, and those who constantly fought them. It could be 2, it could be 5, it could be 10. They will chain all of them together. Amidst kicking, slapping, they will push them in. Lock them up with first door, second door, third door. The doors were 3. No light, no ventilation, meaning no oxygen. No food, no water.
Sade. Yes, no, one two yiti. Yes, I know this table.
Let me do mine. No food, no air, nothing here. 2-3 days, maximum 4. They will struggle, suffocate. enter. Sadly, when they locked the doors, they made sure all of them died before they opened. Meaning, even after 3 days, when they opened, see one or two still alive, they will shut the doors again to the last person is died. So see, if I'm here with you and if you die before me, the only thing I could do is to sit or lie by the bodies with the chain on the ankles of my ankles, waiting for my turn. If any of you died on the first day, by the third, the fourth day, the body begin to smell. After they are all gone, they will bring in some of the male captives for the bodies, gather all other captives at the courtyard. Those who come in for the bodies, they will instruct them to go show the bodies to those gathered, for them to see what they did to those they brought here. So they were killed here, they were murdered here for no offenses, just that they wanted to fight for their freedom. That is why the room is called contamination cell, room of no return. They pushed them in alive, but took them out dead. Dead.
Male dungeon. The male dungeon.
This is the male dungeon. This is where our male ancestors were held. Some of them were here for a few days, some of them were here for about 3 months. It's dependent on the time one arrived here and the time is of a ship set off. And the dungeon looks like a warehouse, but they constructed this like a warehouse for Africans, because Africans were not considered as human beings. There was a point they said Africans had no souls. But a while ago they said we were coming to save our souls, make us Christians. And I don't know at what point Africans lost those souls they said were coming to save. These were only sources of light and ventilation for them. For us to see how dark the dungeon is, let's all turn off our flashlights. And I'm going to turn off this one for a few seconds to 1 minute. And please, when the light goes off, let's remain quiet. Let's remain silent for 1 minute to show respect to our ancestors. Because what they went through, none of us here could go through that and survive.
Yeah.
Not even 1/10 of what they went through. They refused to die for some of us to be here now. So 1 minute, the lights will go off. looking at the sky. Imagine how dark it would be at night. And because the dungeon is always dark, some of them lost their sight. Because meaning here for about 3 months, later went out, the sun rays affected the eyes of some of the captives. Imagine you came here from Kumasi, you walked from Kumasi or Tamale to Cape Coast in a company of 20, 30, 40 people. Now you cannot see again. Even if you are freed, how would you manage your way back to Kumasi to join your family? And these were people who were living happily with their beautiful families in their various towns and villages. There are 5 chambers, 5 compartments in the dungeon. 5. This is the first chamber. Each chamber, like this one, was occupied. They packed, they squeezed about 200 people in. Imagine 200 people in this place for 3 months. The 5 from this chamber to the last one, about 1,000 men. This very one was called a strong chamber for those who were physically, mentally very strong. Because they were strong, they were chained. They chained them, normally by their ankles, against this wall. So they were locking up the chains in this post. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Again, they locked them up to the heavy metal here. 200 people. Sometimes, if not always, the dungeon became very hot. Temperature became very high. Yeah. When it became unbearable for them, started screaming. Some of them crying. They poured water on them from the post to cool down the temperature. When they poured the water, those who were very thirsty used the opportunity, cupped their hands like this, or were still sucked Jada's head for some water to quench their thirst. 30%, 3 out of 10, estimatedly died in the dungeons because communicable or infectious diseases spread very fast. When some of them died, in their own land, they were not given the defensive barrier. Rather, their bodies were dumped into the sea. So the Atlantic Ocean here is the biggest mass grave because millions of Africans were buried in this ocean. And there were several diseases getting them because they were made to do everything to themselves here. What I mean is, they defecated here, urinated here, vomited, spat here, they ate, they slept here. So when they are mess, with their kept head, rotten or decayed teeth, smelling bodies, some having sores on them. Imagine the state, the house flies, the mosquitoes, the pain, the hunger, and the anger here. This dungeon now was used not for 5 years, not for 10 or 20 years. This dungeon was used for over 100 years. For more than 100 years, they were still holding Africans. And for that past long years, they never cleaned the dungeon for them. When water comes in when it rains, sometimes from the hose, the water is supposed to flush out feces, urine, vomit, blood, food particles, and many others to the trenches down into the sea. But these trenches choked, covered. So feces, urine, vomit, blood, and a whole lot of mixed soil covered the floor like a carpet, and was swimming it. But archaeologists, led by one late Professor Apanda, came from the University of Ghana, Lagos, excavated this chamber. That is why we are seeing the bricks, the trenches here. In the other 4 chambers, we will not see the bricks. They left the portion here. They left what is in here for us to talk about. What I mean is, what is here is feces, is urine, vomit, blood, and a lot. Most of soil petrified. They can't say properly, don't worry yourself, because you will even get tired of saying this, because the other 4 chambers not excavated. They gave them food, they were fed, normally twice a day, but little food just to keep them alive. Most of the time, domestic captives were bringing food, or the commercial ones in the dungeon. But sometimes when those here were angry and the food was not coming, they became very aggressive, very angry. Because they say a hungry man is always an angry man. To avoid attacks, they didn't come in with the food. Rather, they passed, they dropped the food from poles like this. Down here, those who were interested struggled for the food in their faces, in the jewelry, in the forms. Some were here, so the food probably dropped on them or right in front of them, but refused to eat. Because how could a human being take food from his faces, jewelry, forms? Some preferred to starve themselves to death to end the excruciating pain. When they saw those people, they took them out. The Europeans had an instrument called speculum. But speculum is like a plier. They forced open their jaws they devised and pushed food in. They forced them so that at least they will eat something to keep them alive. Any questions? Let's see the intention. Right. We are not seeing bricks here, as I told you, because the bricks are covered. And covering the bricks is the feces, is the urine, is the vomit, is the blood, the sweat, and the whole lot. Simply, what we are standing on is DNA of our main ancestors. But see where I'm standing. You can see that where I'm standing is a little bit higher than where you are. Yes. And it's thicker here because of this. As I just indicated, sometimes they drop food. So what I'm standing on is mainly leftover food particles with the feces, the urine, and all that. And this whole goes up. It's seen right in front of the church, on top of this ledge. So they could be passing for church services, and they could hear the captives screaming from the ledge. In Elmina, the Dutch had a reformed church on top of a female ledge. Cape Coast, Church of England, now Anglican Church, is on top of this ledge. Same happened in Christiansburg, the one in my crowd. So when the churches worshiping, singing praises, preaching the word of God, love your neighbor as yourself, thou shalt not kill. Captives were also the dungeons of right beneath them, suffering, crying, dying. So Africa, heaven up there, hell down here. They created heaven for themselves, created hell for Africans. If there is indeed heaven and hell, they said it's only God who can judge. Let's see the last.
Brother, I thank you for answering my question now.
Oh, okay, thank you. Right. See something. The bricks here. The bricks we see here. You see bricks, right? Burnt bricks we see at the edges of the trench is the original floor. On the bricks is what our ancestors unconsciously built on the origin. And for what they used, they are very much aware. Their feces, their urine, their vomits, their blood, and the last chamber, which was also about 200 male captives, is naturally brighter than the other four because of this. I indicated that the captives were branded. They burnt marks on them. See, branded iron. The name, initials, number, logo of the company or the merchant would be embossed on the iron. Something like JSS, John Smith Slave. something like Air Liverpool Company or Air Manchester. The iron will be heated red hot. Palm oil will be applied at the forearm, the chest, the back. Those who were seen as troublesome, the forehead. On the ship's day, before they were loaded in this last room, they sorted them out, counted them, so to know those who died, those who survived. Hence this spoke for more light to see the marks. After that, those who were strong enough to survive the ships were forced to walk underground from here to the door of no return. The entrance to the underground passage was behind this altar, blocked off with the wall the white calabashes placed on. They blocked off the entrance in the year 1833, 1833. That is when they passed the law to end slavery in their possessions and territories, including this dungeon. 1833, they blocked off, they closed the entrance to signify that
200 years.
Over by the British.
Just
Over because even after 1833, there were others who were still smuggling captives. This wall, what they used to close the entrance, is now dedicated to the souls of our ancestors. This is a shrine, a place of worship. Known before Christianity, before Islam were introduced to the people. The people here already knew God. So they are transformed in Julian Bokwami, or Bantian, Julian Bokwami, the most dependable God on Saturday, or Bantian, the supreme almighty creator, worshiping him through deities. We call them Abuso. And again, we believe that when our people die, physically they will not be with us, but spiritually they are always with us. So we believe as we are here, the spirits of our ancestors are here with us. We do call them through stones, rivers, mountains, trees, rocks. We see them to be sacred. And this dungeon, this castle, is built on such a rock. Cape Coasters built the castle here, and they were not allowing Cape Coasters to come around here to call their ancestors to worship. So they came for these two stones as part of the bigger work into the community. So this shrine was in the community when the British were here. After the British, they brought back the stones, put them on the steps, they worship the shrine again. The name of the shrine is Nana Tabe. There are 77 shrines in Cape Coast. This one is the eldest. Most of the times, you come and meet the priest sitting on. He came in, but went out again because of the festival. He's very, very busy. People still come in for prayers, for sacrifices, for consolation. So the shrine is still active. Any questions? The name Tabe, Nana Tabe.
So the shrine is permanent. The shrine always coming.
Yes, it has been here since they brought it back from the community.
So the exit is the tunnel.
The tunnel is not there, but I don't know how we do that. But I think we can still walk through. So we can see the entrance is blocked. And aside from the entrance blocked, there are multiple walls in it, but we shall see open part of it.
Please, can I ask,
Yes.
who controls the shrine?
There's a priest actually. There's a priest in charge.
So if you are coming from something, you have to pay a bit or
So if you tell us you are coming to see the priest, and if he's around, you can come in for free. Yes.
You know, my sister was good for you. The first one.
see the uninvited guests.
All right. This is the courtyard, the main courtyard of the castle. And the courtyard was a cemetery for the British. Dead bodies were buried all over here. But when the courtyard was excavated, only 4 graves had marks. 1 African grave, 3 European graves. The African buried here, Philip Kwaku. Philip Kwaku was from Cape Coast. The father of Philip Kwaku buried here was a middleman, one of those Africans doing buying and selling of cattle. Philip was awarded scholarship by the church to study in Britain. Philip attended Oxford University. They ordained Philip, became first African to be ordained a priest of the Anglican Church. They brought Philip back, worked with them for 15 years as a teacher and a pastor in the church and the school. He died 17th October 1816. He was 75 years old. 1816, meaning he came or even died before slave trade was abolished. So Philip was preaching the gospel at his fellow Africans were dying.
Excuse me, baby. I can see the little boy hit him upside his head. I don't mean it.
For a soldier with very ironic name, see white head. C.B. Whitehead. Whitehead was a lawyer by profession who joined the military. He died there July 1812. He was 38 years old. Letitia Elizabeth London was the wife of George McLean. She came here to visit George, but she died just 2 months after she arrived here. Rumors, gossips had that malaria killed her. Others as when she came, the husband was having a girlfriend from Accra called Miss Ellen Barnum from Musu. When Letitia heard that, out of jealousy, she poisoned herself. Others are saying the girlfriend poisoned Letitia. So to date, we don't know what really killed her, whether it was parasite, homicide, or suicide. She died in 1838, she was 36. George McLean came here around 1830 as our administrator. But you know, McLean is popular, now colonial history, because he designed a bond known in Ghana as the Bond of 1844. It's a bond which paved way for the establishment of British colony in Gold Coast for 100 years. He was the architect. Then Governor Commander Hale, with 8 Ghanaian chiefs, signed the bond on 6 March 1844. Gold Coast, now Ghana, became a colony to the British. So see, the British were our slave masters, became our colonial masters. Ghana is still a member of the British Commonwealth. Now I don't even know what at all we get from the Commonwealth. Because the Commonwealth games are never played in Africa. Malaria killed him 1847, he was 46. So see, Philip the African was 75 years old. The Europeans, 38, 36, 46. Malaria. Please hold the case for me. Have the loop, then step down and do others can also get the chance to see. They were harvesting rainwater from the roofs of the castle. They reserved the rainwater here. The captives were those who were dependent on the rainwater, drinking, cooking for them. When the British picked some of the female captives to abuse them, to rape them, they fetched water from here for them to shower before they took them to their bedrooms. But they dug wells in town, water from underground, like boreholes. They were dependent on those wells, rainwater here for the captives. 1850, 1855. Each one like this can hold about 3,000 gallons of water. As you can see, we still fill them with pipe-borne water. We pump water here, and our taps are not flowing for painting, for cleaning, and doing other stuff like that. So we still use these water systems. Any question? Any question?
Is what was the actual meaning, the meaning of building this castle? What was the meaning, the real, the original meaning of it?
Original meaning? I see.
Was to cultivate black people?
This one was built for slave traders. other reasons. Would also trade in gold, ivory, spices. But there was a barracks here for their security. There was a school here for the missed children. There was a slave market. There was a church. So it was a multi-level. Yes.
All in the name of Jesus.
These people.
Food people still pray to. Crazy shit.
It's a dungeon, but it has been called a castle for a long period of time. So we cannot change that overnight because it is one of the all right, let's see the church.
Sure, you are going to Jesus Church.
The church. Children's library.
This was the church. The church was called Society for the Propagation of the Gospel. I repeat, Society for the Propagation of the Gospel. SPG Church. First Church of England in the country. Church of England is now Anglican. Anglican churches are all over Ghana. Methodist Church, Ghana, started from this box here. Catholic, Ghana started from Elmina Castle. The church is now children's library. So school children come to the library to read. And as I told you, the church is right on top of the male dungeon. This is the spy hole we saw from the third chamber. You remember? Yeah. This is the one we saw from the third chamber. And below this in the dungeon is where the feces, the urine, the vomits with food, leftover food particles higher I stood on. Right at the entrance of the church. That's why I said they could be passing for church services and they could hear the captives screaming from the dungeon. And vice versa. They could also hear them here, singing, preaching. But they couldn't come out to join them worship. Because the Bible says, if we're in hell, there's no way it could go to heaven. And it is like, as I said, heaven up here, hell down there. Let's go to heaven, paradise.
Excuse me.
No, so they look at somebody who was
The Atlantic Ocean. The air is airy. Still got the cannonballs over here. Yes, yeah, no. They still got some.
All right, cannons lined up here. Cannonballs packed. The British brought these to the French themselves against who? The Portuguese, the Dutch, the Danes, the Germans, the French, and others, because they were all trying to take battles. This themselves was trying from. So if we're able to take battles, meaning we're going to control a whole business empire. So they brought things to the defend themselves. They put gunpowder in it, and put lead, fire. Some of the boats, especially the mortar boats, are with holes. Those holes were filled with gunpowder, entered the wooden ships, and because of the gunpowder in them, exploded. Those dark holes entered the ships, created holes in the ships. Water came in the ships that they sank. These long canoes, the boats traveled about 600 meters. The medium ones about 300 meters, and the short ones, the mortars, for about 200 meters. So the enemies were very close. They used the mortar short distances, but very heavy bombs. Let's see the spaces the governor alone occupied. This was his reception area. Reception area for the governor. Reception area for the governor. And this was his office. Just enter the office, see the size of it, and come out. Governor's office. I didn't want that out. Several of them. All right, let's see his bedroom and hall. Let's see governor's bedroom and hall.
You see the little wheel came from here. The Atlantic Ocean.
Governor's Governor's board. Governor's bedroom. You know, one governor at a time. And the Europeans are not coming with their families, nor their wives, nor children, because of tropical diseases killing them. They named West Coast of Africa white man's grave. About 6 months, one day they died. But you know, because of money and greed, they were still coming. So one person, just one person, not the part of this hall. But you can see this one is bigger than a Japanese detention for 200 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 videos compared with the 200 people. Were provided with 3 small ones. Just half a little here is bigger than the clothes with them for 200 people. The bedroom is right there, 5 videos. 5 plus 9, 14. There are additional windows here, making 16. With about 3 doors. So they stayed upstairs, enjoyed the awesome breeze. Africans were held underground. Poor ventilation.
I'm sorry. You okay?
The one up on the hill is red top. Fort Williams is up on the hill with a red top. Something like a ball on it. Yeah. Fort Victoria, it's behind the Abracadabra. Yeah, behind the coconut and the almond tree. And these 2 forts were built not as slave posts. Rather, they built these 2 to protect this castle. Both forts are built on top of hills. Soldiers there, soldiers at the fort. So far, they saw enemies coming first before soldiers here. When they saw anything like that, they gave them information here using signals, lights, flags, and hospital errors. The signal, especially the flag, the color, determines the kind of information. So there's communication room downstairs, meaning there's no MTN, no telecell, no Wi-Fi, but there was WhatsApp. Right after the bedroom, you see the downstairs wall. Communication room. 24/7, a soldier was here looking to the window, that small window, to be picking signals from Fort Williams. Going or coming, going, communication room. Communication. You always make sure there's a student in the communication room. Those who start small window. The student will be here for a few hours.
Most of them were
Barracks now, so the nation.
No, I think that's one police. I can't be by
Palaver.
Palava Hall. Palava Hall. This was the slave market.
Slave market.
This is where the buying and selling took place. And palava is a Portuguese word which means confusion or trouble. The British adopted same palava, but then palava meant to bargain, negotiate. But in Ghana, palava is a source. We also have palava source in Ghana. There were doctors, nurses, merchant company representatives right here. The companies, the merchants will set their tables. On their tables, what will you even see? You just see guns, gunpowders, mirrors, fabrics, tobacco, knives, sugar, and all that. And those captives brought in by middlemen and other individual slave traders were those who were first brought here for examination and auction. Because there were some greedy, very, very greedy Africans who were also grading for their fellow Africans, selling them to the peers. Some of the captives were not brought here because they were not bought. They were raided, they were kidnapped, they were deceived by the Europeans themselves. When they have these ones, they push them into the dungeons straight away. But those brought in, yet to be sold, those who were brought in by people like Reverend Philip Babu's father, who was a chief, called Abrekofojo, were those who were first brought here for examination and auction. This is where the buying and selling of captives, as well as gold, ivory, spices took place. We are going back downstairs, see some few critical places and conclude. We are going to see the tunnel, female dungeons, go through the door of no return. When we return through the door of return, we shall say bye-bye. Don't be confused. There is door of no return and door of return. Let's
No, I think it's
Si kuni be dunia de omo kwa hani ndo.
Right. This is the tunnel which entrance is blocked off in the male slave dungeon, right behind the shrine. This is the tunnel. Which entrance is sealed behind the shrine. As I told you, May 1833, when they passed the law to end slavery, they blocked off the entrance. When they were taking them to the ships, the male captives became very aggressive. And again, they didn't know where they're taking them to. So the male captives were not allowed to walk through here. And the British also did not want visitors here to see the kind of evil things they were doing, to see the captives walking around in chains and shackles. So they hid them. They walked them underground from where the shrine is, in chains and shackles, to the exit. This was just a spy hole, meaning they're not going down, not coming out here. And soldiers stood there just to keep an eye on them. Move, go. And it's about 18 feet deep here. The construction done by manpower. So no wonder it took them about 50 to 60 years to build this structure. Imagine the number of Africans who died during this long period of construction. That was 5
Yes.
The tunnel ended here. Here was the exit of the tunnel. As I said in the male dungeon, the British built multiple walls in the tunnel after the slave trade. They used part of the tunnel as storerooms and water systems. Some years back, we wanted to remove all the walls in the tunnel so we could walk our wonderful guests like you through, and also to see what is actually in the tunnel. Because listen, there's some historians who have the view that when the British abolished slave trade here, the male captives who were still in the dungeon were not freed. They didn't let them go. There was no ship coming to take them. So they were pushed into the tunnel and sealed. Buried them alive. They will not let them go back to tell the people what they went through in the dungeons, to mobilize people come attack them. So let's bury them to conceal, to cover up the evil things we did. But to be open, we cannot deny or confirm this assertion. Yes, ma'am. That's what I'm saying. So we open, we cannot deny or confirm this. We can only say that it remains there. When we open. I said 1833. Right, so from the dungeon where the shrine was, they walked in chains and shackles to this place, going out through here. But see what was coming in again, so they closed this. When they closed this one, they marched the men out, joined the women to the door of the return, sat on canoes, 400, 500 meters. When they entered the ships, we lost contact with them forever. You know, the bigger ships were also called floating coffins. Floating coffins because on the ships, the captives were packed like sardines, like cargo, head in, head out, head in, head out. Very difficult for them to even time. For about 6 to 8 weeks. You know, some of these ships had very ironic names. Names like Jesus, Santa Maria, Ambista, God is able. So imagine a ship that carries enslaved Africans with the name Good Ship of Jesus.
So please, why?
Christians.
I'm glad I know all.
Restaurant is in here. So you see
Female punishment cell. Female punishment cell. I told you they were not coming with their wives. And you know, as men, they couldn't stay longer without it. So they developed the habit of raping some of the female captives. They were abusing some of them. Those who said no, those who denied them, those who wanted to protect their little dignities left. About 8 of these innocent women were put inside here. They locked them up with a heavy metal door, gave them food, water, just once a day. I told you in the dungeons they were normally fed twice, but in the cell once, through this hole. There's another hole down here for feces, for urine, for vomit, for blood. Because you know, as young women, when they were here, some had their cycle all into this hole. After 7-10 days, those who survived were allowed to go back into the dungeons, just to punish them here. So next time, they would agree. Also to serve as a lesson to the other female captives. And out of this nonsense, some became pregnant. They built stone houses in town with nurses and midwives, took them there. Few months, few years after delivery, the mothers were brought back. Those who were weak worked there as domestic captives. Those who were strong, later they shipped them. The babies, the children, majority died. The few that survived, they had a school, they started a school with them, Cape Coast Castle School. Some grew up, became workers here, secretaries, clerks, spies. They sent some out, became supervisors, supervising the enslaved Africans, working because they were having light skin. Some of these missed children were named by their European fathers. Some local people adopted some European names. These are some of the reasons there are several European names along the west coast of Africa, especially Cape Coast. You hear names like Smith, Grant, Wood, York, Addison, Nelson, Thompson, Ferguson. But if you go to a place like Ashanti region, a typical Ashanti will hardly bear a second name like Johnson, or say Owusu, Frimpong, Ajiman, Abedio, typical Ashanti names. Female dungeons, strong return, strong return. The sitting Vice President of the United States of America, Madam Kamala Harris, came here last year. Madam Kamala Harris came here last year because she has something to do with the history here. Her father was from Jamaica. You know, Jamaicans are our brothers and sisters who were taken from here. The mother was from India. So when she had the opportunity, she paid homage. And this is what she laid. Madam Kamala Harris laid these natural flowers.
That's it.
We saw the men had 5 chambers for about 1,000 male captives. Women had 2 because they needed more men than women to work on plantations. You know, they needed the women again for reproduction because children of enslaved Africans automatically became enslaved. They have this chamber and the opposite one. And they took for about 300 female captives and children, boys and girls, who were 13, little above 13, were here with their mothers and their sisters. They also defecated, urinated, vomited, menstruated. And one sad thing was, as young ladies, when they were here, and some had their cycle, it flowed on them and flowed till it ended and dried up. Because there was nothing like night cloth, no sanitary pad for them. They're not even allowed to sometimes shower, take their bath. You can imagine the conditions here. The floor not excavated. So again, this is feces, this is urine, this is vomit, this is blood, this is soil putrefied. Draw of no return.
Does this mean a real life? This one.
Read. This
like another was You cannot do it for people's castle. Sometimes just around. You cannot do it for people's dungeon, people's castle, without seeing that going to the store. This is the famous door of no return. Final exit point for some of our ancestors. Door of no return because some of our ancestors were forced, migrated to the new world through or via this door and never returned. Door of no return because they went to this door and we lost contact with them forever. Door of no return because the very moment one was forced to this door, either he or she died on the way or arrived, either never returned. Most of them died, most of them died. Because some researchers have said that in total, the Europeans had about 60 million enslaved Africans in a business which lasted for about 400 agonizing years. Out of the 60 million, there are simply about 10, 11, 12 million, depending on the researcher, made the journey across the Atlantic. Let's take the highest figure. If 12 million survived, about 48 million were killed, died, perished. 48 million people is more than Ghana's population, right? And all these people we are talking about were young men and women. Most of them were between the ages of 13 to 45 years. Those were very strong, very energetic, very intelligent were the kind of people they sent away. So Africa was robbed of her natural resources as well as human resources. It's that we can emphatically say European slave trade had and is still having huge negative effects on the continent. Because what they used about 400 years to do, Ghana, for instance, cannot use just like 67 years to recover. Just that the pace is too slow. So after they took our ancestors, used them, developed their countries. Some of them now call us lazy people. Some of them are even saying we are living in shithole countries. But they've got that with the same people or their ancestors who created, who contributed the so-called shitholes in order to develop the countries they're enjoying now. The door was short and narrow, one captive forced at a time, but it was widened after slavery. Captives bowed down, squeezed themselves, one after the other, went to the door and never returned. We are also going to go to the door of no return, but I promise you, we are going to return. This beach is still called Abrofomkwano by the local people to White Man's Beach because this beach was exclusively for the British. The Europeans were not using the door of no return because, as I told you, it was short and narrow, only for the captives. They were using the staircase. They were using the staircase to the castle, to the dungeon, from the dungeon to the beach. Now look back. What is that?
Door of return.
Door of return. Door of return. 1 minute. If you want to take some pictures, you can do it. After you join me there, we talk about the door of return and wrap up. 1 minute. If you want to take some
Nice seashells.
Fellow Ghanaians, named the other side of door of no return, door of return. Door of return. To break the jinx of door of no return, or to break the cycle of the European slave trade. And we named door of return on 1st August 1998, 26 years ago, when Ghana celebrated first Emancipation Day. During the event, two caskets, Fundakabiru, contained skeletal remains, bones of 2 descendants died and buried. Madam Crystal from Jamaica, Samuel cousin from New York. They exhumed their bones from them to Accra. They followed the Kaufman car to Atlantic, Fort Amsterdam. When they got to Fort Amsterdam, they said, no, we are not going to go by road again. Rather, we go by the sea, like the way our ancestors left. So they put the casket on canoes, part of that back here. There were officials, family members waiting. When they arrived, they received the remains from them, brought them to the door to the courtyard. And the very moment the remains passed through the door, the jigs of door will return got broken. There was a ceremony here dubbed Great Hope Coming. After the ceremony, they sent the remains to Asen Manso for reburial. There's a river to Asen Manso, ancestral slave by no Monsieur. When they were bringing them, when they got to the riverside, they stopped them, shaped them, gave them, polished them with shabata. That is why some now old people with some gray hairs will look younger, attractive, or higher prices. So they spent weeks in the dungeons here, never back. Last African back to Asimos. That is why they sent the 2 remains for reburial. On that day, August 1, 1998, when the jigs of door not returned, Ghanaians named the other side Door of Return, inviting our brothers and sisters, African Americans, African Europeans to come back to Africa to reconnect, to help develop the continent. That is why when we return, we saw the war holding this them apart. And apart means war, so we are all one. Before we say bye-bye, what I want to share with you is that European slavery is over, but sadly, we still see forms of slavery, injustice, unfair treatment, in our homes, in our villages, in our cities, and countries. Child labor, child trafficking, child prostitution, racism, mental slavery. The abuse of house helps, workers, wives, children. They call it modern day slavery. So all those inhumane treatment that went in the dungeons are still living with us. We should go out to our best to ensure that slavery and slavery would never and ever occur again, in any way, in any form, against any of the races. Because we may not know the next perpetrator and the next victim. Once again, my name is Richard, the CEO of your guide. Have a nice day.
Thank you.